That story. I never have since it came out. The suicide.
And that she was 21 years old at the time of publication. That would make her birth year at around 1976. However, why is it saying here she was born 5 years later in 1981?
Meghan Markle says she was born in 1981.
Who would have been so loved had she stayed and done that.
Her father says the numbers don't add up, and a single magazine page could unravel the palace's perfect narrative.
Very same question, it looked at what her sister, Samantha Markle, has said. Samantha has called out many of her lies.
So, which story is real? And why does it matter so much?
They just hold up in a big house and do nothing.
Stay tuned, because the deeper you look, the stranger this timeline becomes.
He can't fix it. There's nothing for him to do. And incidentally, did you notice that his mouth is distorted?
When Thomas Markle speaks, people expect warmth, maybe even reconciliation. Instead, his interviews land like courtroom testimony. Recently, he dropped a claim so sharp it sliced right into Meghan's carefully crafted biography.
In her book, Samantha Markle says in the diary of Princess Pushy's sister, she confirms the year.
According to him, the official birth year doesn't match the life he remembers. And the kicker? A scrap of paper from 17 magazine seems to back him up. Page 90, March 1997, casually listed Meghan Markle as 21 years old. On its own, you'd skim past it. But if Meghan really was born in 1981, then in 1997, she should have been 15, not 21. That's a 6-year gap, and 6 years isn't a typo. It's a total rewrite of her timeline.
1981, not 1976. So Meghan's own sister corroborates the official date as per Google.
Fans online seized on that contradiction immediately. This isn't just gossip, one Reddit post read. It's ink on paper. In the royal world, where dates and documents are sacred, that difference becomes dynamite. Commentators speculated that if something as basic as Meghan's birthday can be bent, blurred, or polished, then what else about the palace's narrative might be flexible? It doesn't help that Meghan's paper trail has already shown odd edits. Remember Archie's birth certificate? Originally filed with her full name, Rachel Meghan Markle, it was quietly amended weeks later to erase her given names. Palace spokespeople brushed it off as a formality, but to critics, it looked like proof that even official records can be massaged. That's why Thomas Markle's words sting so deeply. They don't come across like the ramblings of a bitter father. They sound like sworn testimony. "I love both my daughters," he said in one interview, "but one of them is telling lies." It was blunt, personal, and impossible to ignore. Suddenly, Meghan's life story, from Northwestern University graduate to royal bride, wasn't just under scrutiny. It was under cross-examination.
There's no doubt he had a very serious stroke, but he can't fix it. He didn't break it. It's up to her to fix it. He really has done very little.
The contradiction didn't stop at the magazine. Alumni photos added fuel. In one salsa club snapshot from her Northwestern days, Meghan smiles in the back row. Nothing unusual, until you realize many of her classmates are now in their mid-50s. If Meghan was born in 1981, she'd be several years younger than that group. But if the 1975 to 76 timeline hinted at by her critics were true, she'd fit right in. Fans began posting side-by-side comparisons. "The math doesn't lie," one viral TikTok claimed, flashing the magazine page before cutting to reunion rosters. For the palace, the danger isn't Meghan's age itself, it's credibility. Royal reputations are built on precise, unshakable details. Birthdays, anniversaries, family trees. If those details start to wobble, the entire wall shows cracks. And one crack has already spread. Commentators warned that this age mystery isn't just a family feud. It's a test of whether the monarchy can keep control of its own story. The contradiction might have stayed buried in dusty archives, but online sleuths turned it into a wildfire. TikTok compilations pulled millions of views, Reddit threads ballooned overnight, and Twitter lit up with memes mocking the timeline gap. One viral image rebranded 17 magazine's cover as 21 going on 15, a direct jab at Meghan's alleged age jump. Another showed her graduation photo captioned, "High school? Again?" The internet doesn't just point out inconsistencies, it roasts them into cultural punchlines. And Meghan, silent through it all, became the centerpiece of an unexpected meme economy.
The lies they have told, the intrusive interviews they've given. I mean, what Thomas Markle did, which was simply trying to uh, restore his dignity was really a bagatelle compared to what they've done.
Fans online claimed this isn't just about her personal story, it's about the monarchy's ability to control the narrative. If the palace can't even get her birth year straight, what can we trust? Asked one commentator on GB News. That single question echoed across digital platforms. It wasn't just casual gossip anymore, it was framed as a credibility crisis. For younger audiences, the scandal mirrored classic Hollywood tricks. Actresses in the 1950s routinely shaved years off their ages to keep winning ingenue roles. For Meghan, critics argued, 6 years would be more than vanity. It would have rebranded her entire Hollywood trajectory. Instead of hustling in her late 20s for young ingenue parts, she'd have been auditioning as if she were still 22. Meanwhile, Thomas Markle's words kept resurfacing in clips across YouTube and Twitter. Each time he repeated that his daughter was telling lies, the lines cut deeper. Commentators speculated whether his persistence was bitterness, truth-telling, or a mix of both. The palace noticeably remained silent, and that silence was deafening. Reports suggested insiders loathed the attention. In an institution obsessed with control, seeing fans build timelines out of magazine scans and alumni snapshots must have felt like losing the steering wheel. The public, however, thrived on the drama. One viral post compared Meghan's alleged age gap to Hollywood's infamous cases. Mariah Carey once dodged questions about her birth year. Jennifer Lopez and Sandra Bullock have both faced speculation, but in those cases it was shrugged off as a Hollywood quirk. For Meghan, the stakes were different. She wasn't just an actress, she was a duchess. The monarchy isn't supposed to operate like a casting agency. It trades in credibility, stability, and precise history. That's why ordinary fans, who normally ignore royal paperwork, suddenly became amateur detectives. They pored over alumni lists, dug through archived yearbooks, and even speculated about her Northwestern graduation ceremony. One fan claimed the ages of her fellow graduates just didn't match. Another pointed to a salsa club flyer that listed participants by decade of birth. Whether accurate or not, the fact that people were digging this deeply showed how much the narrative had slipped from palace control. By this stage, Meghan's silence itself became a scandal.
Fight on, and I know that Samantha, his daughter, and his other son, Tom Markle Jr., are going to support him, but the reality is he is pleading.
Commentators argued that ignoring the speculation only made it louder. Her silence speaks volumes, one Daily Mail op-ed noted, and the longer she waits, the more people assume she has something to hide. For critics, that silence wasn't dignified. It was evasive, and that perception was fuel on the fire. If page 90 of 17 cracked the facade, the palace's own documents drove the wedge deeper. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor's birth certificate, originally filed with Rachel Meghan Markle, was quietly amended weeks later. Suddenly, her given names vanished. Only Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex remained. Officials brushed it off as a formatting adjustment, but insiders whispered that such edits were highly unusual. For critics, it wasn't about the names at all. It was about precedent, proof that even official royal documents could be rewritten after the fact. And if one document could change, what stopped another? Fans online claimed this edit was the smoking gun. To them, it wasn't a minor correction, it was symbolic. If a royal birth certificate could bend, why couldn't a birthday? Commentators speculated that the real issue wasn't Meghan's exact age, but the palace's willingness to curate reality itself. The monarchy relies on unshakable facts, argued one historian on GB News, and if those facts start to shift, so does public trust. In a family where every birth, marriage, and anniversary is logged into centuries-old ledgers, even the perception of flexibility feels catastrophic. This is where Thomas Markle's accusations hit hardest. In interviews, he doubled down, insisting he had no problem facing Meghan in court if necessary. "She's telling lies," he said bluntly. These weren't the mutterings of an estranged parent. They landed like testimony. Combined with archival oddities, his words became more than family tension. They became evidence, or at least that's how fans spun it online. The fact that his comments aligned with a printed magazine detail made them harder to dismiss as bitterness.
Finally, at the document that everyone jumped on at the beginning, offending a little while back, here's a tweet from Jane Whittle, and it caused a stir because it showed the biography of Megxie where she described herself as Caucasian rather than biracial.
Meanwhile, the alumni photographs kept resurfacing, growing more suspicious with each repost. Fans argued that the ages of her Northwestern classmates pointed to an older timeline. One TikTok, which pulled in over 3 million views, zoomed in on a salsa club photo and contrasted the supposed ages of her peers. The caption? Do the math. It doesn't lie. Whether or not the math truly proved anything, the viral energy gave the perception of proof. And in today's media landscape, perception often matters more than reality. Commentators drew comparisons to old Hollywood scandals. Rita Hayworth's real age was hidden for years. Marilyn Monroe's backstory was scrubbed and repolished by studio executives. In that world, the lies were about glamour. In Meghan's case, critics argued, the lies, if true, cut into the monarchy itself. One commentator warned that this scandal wasn't just personal. It could snowball into a question of whether the royal institution itself knowingly overlooked or even curated contradictions. And if the palace's golden PR machine can bend birthdays, then what else might it smooth over? Financial scandals? Family feuds? The whispers of Meghan's supposed age discrepancy had now evolved into something larger, a referendum on credibility. And in the monarchy, credibility is everything. Once it cracks, history shows it rarely heals. By now, the whispers weren't whispers at all. They were headlines, memes, and televised debates. Commentators clashed on GB News and Talk TV, some dismissing the story as recycled gossip, others insisting the persistence of clues. The 17 magazine page, the alumni photos, the altered birth certificate made it impossible to ignore. One blunt panelist summed it up. If Meghan's age is in question, then so is the palace's vetting process. That single sentence reframed the debate from Meghan's personal vanity to an institutional crisis. For the monarchy, the comparison was brutal. Fans online speculated this could be the next Prince Andrew BBC moment where credibility collapses in real time. Others compared it to Princess Diana's Panorama interview, where one confession blindsided the palace and shook public trust for decades. The message was clear. This wasn't about one duchess anymore. It was about whether the royal institution could survive another credibility fracture. And unlike past scandals, this one wasn't fading. Each new meme or TikTok clip kept it alive, recycling old evidence into new outrage.
Guys, look, I understand why so many people are upset with her. She has spread so many malicious lies, her own family, and Samantha Markle, to me, is the one that if she really confirmed it.
Meanwhile, Meghan's silence hung heavier than ever. Supporters praised her restraint, calling it dignified to ignore baseless noise, but critics spun it another way: evasion. Her silence fuels suspicion, argued one Daily Mail op-ed, and the longer she ignores it, the more it looks like there's something to hide. Every day she stayed quiet. The online narrative hardened into Meghan the Mystery, a duchess whose biography didn't align. Even the financial stakes crept in. Reports suggested Netflix, which poured millions into her projects, was watching the fallout closely. Commentators speculated whether public doubt over Meghan's credibility could ripple into streaming performance, sponsorship deals, or even royal-related tourism. In an industry where image is currency, even a whiff of contradiction can cost millions. And that's what made this scandal feel different. It wasn't just about gossip, it was about money, credibility, and control. Fans latched on to this larger framing. One viral tweet declared, "If Meghan's age can be blurred, then nothing about the monarchy's PR is safe." It was retweeted over 30,000 times in 24 hours. The scandal had moved beyond dusty archives and into cultural commentary. Was this just a duchess shaving off a few years? Or was it the monarchy's golden PR machine rewriting reality itself? The more people asked, the more the palace looked cornered. And the dominoes kept falling. Page 90, alumni photos, the birth certificate edit. Each detail alone could be brushed off, but stacked together, they formed a picture that fans claimed was impossible to ignore. For the monarchy, it was a nightmare scenario. A small crack that had become a roaring fissure, threatening to undermine not just Meghan's image, but the palace's authority to control the story. At this stage, the scandal wasn't even about numbers anymore. It had become a question of trust. Fans, critics, and commentators all circled the same point. If Meghan Markle's timeline could be questioned, then how safe were the stories told about the rest of the royal family? Every royal anniversary, every commemorative headline, every carefully staged photo now carried a shadow of doubt. And for an institution that thrives on precision and ritual, that doubt was poison. Meghan herself remained silent. No statements, no clarifications, not even a carefully worded Instagram post. Supporters framed this as smart strategy. Don't dignify gossip. But critics argued the silence allowed the narrative to harden. It's not just gossip anymore, one commentator speculated on Talk TV. It's her legacy. That silence became louder with each passing week, transforming from restraint into suspicion. And once suspicion sets in, it rarely leaves. For fans online, the investigation never stopped. They pulled up alumni lists, compared ages of classmates, shared screenshots of archival scans, and circulated memes with biting precision. One joke compared Meghan to Hollywood starlets who graduated high school twice. Another mocked up a fake royal calendar captioned, "Add 6 years." The memes weren't just funny, they kept the scandal alive, feeding algorithms and ensuring the topic stayed viral. Every new repost meant another wave of people asking the same blunt question. How old is Meghan Markle, really? The palace predictably kept quiet. Reports suggested staff loathed the attention, fearing it chipped away at the monarchy's image of control. And control has always been their currency. From Princess Diana's panorama confessions to Prince Andrew's disastrous BBC interview, the family has learned one painful lesson. Once credibility cracks, it can't be glued back together. Meghan's alleged age mystery wasn't just another tabloid headline, it was a test of whether the monarchy could still dominate its own narrative in the age of TikTok and Reddit sleuths. And that's what makes this story so potent. It isn't about whether Meghan is 36 or 42, it's about whether the most carefully curated institution in the world can keep its facts straight in a time when fans can fact-check with a screenshot and a hashtag. If a single line on page 90 of 17 magazine can shake the palace, imagine what the next forgotten document might do. A program, a roster, a casual slip in an old interview, all potential landmines waiting to be rediscovered. Which leaves us with one chilling thought. Meghan Markle may not just be the Duchess of Sussex, she may be the Duchess of Contradiction, the royal whose timeline could never quite be pinned down. And if that's true, then the monarchy's greatest vulnerability isn't scandal or betrayal, it's doubt. So here's the big question for you. If a single magazine page can rewrite history, what happens when the next revelation drops? Make sure you subscribe, hit like, and turn on notifications, because when the next royal crack appears, you'll want to be here when the story breaks.